Welcome back to our biomass class, where we're delving deeper into the fascinating world of conversion of biomass resources into heat and power. This video was made with the support of InnoEnergy. Finally, before closing this part of the course on energy from solid biomass, let's analyze advantages and drawbacks, opportunities and barriers. Regardless of the price of the energy produced, switching from fossil fuels to biofuels is turning into a social responsibility because it is considered environmentally friendly. And over the last few years, the use of biomass for energy has increased significantly, and it is planned to grow even more. But what do we mean when we say environmentally friendly? There is no global consensus, so different stakeholders can have different points of view. While the motivation to reduce the use of fossil fuels is clearly needed, is it replacing them by bioenergy really effective? Or just another costly trend we can skip without feeling guilty? Let's focus first on the environmental consequences.
Is biomass a renewable source of energy?
One idea associated with biomass is that because biofuels come from plants, they can regrow in a relatively short time, reabsorbing the CO2 emitted during its combustion. However, if it is not done properly, biomass utilization can lead to deforestation. For instance, in the US, every 1% increase in biomass electricity production requires an 18% increase in forest harvesting. In Asia, many forests are cleared to make way for palm oil plantations to produce biodiesel. And, in some places in Africa, bioenergy puts strong pressure on existing trees' resources.
What about biomass reducing environmental degradation?
Well, the evidence is mixed. Without proper forest maintenance, forest waste is left to build up over time and stoke the flames of future fires. The biomass industry is uniquely positioned to improve forest health while providing electricity in a clean and renewable way. For instance, calculations made for the massive Drax power plant in Yorkshire show an emissions reduction of up to 90% per unit of electricity generated by burning wood pellets rather than coal. However, not everybody agrees. Power companies, under pressure of reducing carbon pollution and to find alternatives to fossil fuels, are proposing to burn trees, or what is known as woody biomass, for energy. But, there are two big reasons why burning trees might not be the right solution. First, because biomass plants are far less efficient than fossil fuel plants, and that means more carbon pollution at the smokestack per unit of energy produced. Second, because trees live for many decades, so cutting down trees to make electricity means we lose out on their future absorption of CO2. So, is bioenergy cropland the solution? An expansion in bioenergy cropland requires the leveling of native forest and the destruction of local peatlands, which combined with climate change may cause some species to decline. We saw the effects on the environment are diverse, but is bioenergy a more expensive solution we must adopt under the promise of reducing CO2 emissions?
Can biomass be more costly than other alternatives?
One of the drawbacks of biomass when compared with other energy resources is that it cannot be produced in a continuous basis. For example, annual energy crops have a life cycle of a year or a season and have to be replanted every time. Agricultural residues are produced once or twice per year. And agricultural crop and timber production varies between years, depending on the rainfall and other factors. Compared with other renewable sources, biomass has costs of collection, transportation, and storage. Biomass feedstock have low energy density and need conditioning or processing for use. Because of its low energy density, systems for storing and handling and for feeding raw biomass into combustion or conversion systems have to be bigger and therefore more expensive than fossil fuel equivalents. Aha! But stored biomass allows full utilization, and it is always available against uncertain resources of energy like solar or wind. Batteries are not needed. And in comparison to drilling for oil or creating gas pipelines, the costs involved in collecting biomass fuels are extremely low. However, the cost of collecting and transporting large quantities of biomass materials for energy production can be significant since these materials are widely dispersed or of low energy density. In fact, because it is widely distributed, relatively easy to collect and use, this can promote the creation of SME competing in the market, with lower transport costs and better services for the consumers.
Can biomass offer other economic benefits?
Biomass saves currencies and reduces dependence on foreign energy. The more we use locally produced biomass energy, the less we need to depend on the import of fossil fuels. Yes, but in the near future, EU will not be able to produce enough biomass to fulfill its objectives. Therefore, EU will need to import biomass from other regions, like North America.
What about technologies?
Biomass combustion technologies are already commercially available for the production of heat and electricity, but mostly in small scale. Scientists are working on ways to make bioenergy more efficient. But, until that barrier is crossed, it is unlikely that biomass energy will be adopted as a viable alternative fuel source on a wide scale. We saw the effect on the environment and the economy. Now, what about the social consequences?
Can bioenergy affect food security and public health?
There are two main reasons why bioenergy may have consequences in food security. First, because its production may lead to negative impacts on the productive capacity of land or on water availability and quality. Second, biofuels may displace food crops production, increasing its prices and threatening food security. In developing countries, indoor air pollution, generated largely by inefficient and poorly ventilated stoves, ranks fourth in terms of the risk factors that contribute to disease and death. But on the other side, biomass has social benefits. It provides more jobs than other renewables. Around 56 person-year per MW. And it supports rural economy as it has the potential to modernize the agricultural economy and catalyze rural development, giving benefits to landowners, creating jobs and options for energy self-sustainability. Wrapping up. Can scientists give us an answer about the real environmental impact of bioenergy? Are sustainability directives and regulations good enough to avoid a negative environmental and social impact? For bioenergy projects, can the cost of the energy produced be competitive compared with other options? How can economic barriers be overcome? Is the playing field level to compete with fossil fuels on equal terms? How can politicians address the bad consequences for society, especially for the most disadvantaged? Can bioenergy represent an opportunity for rural development?
Now, it is time for you to investigate more about the pros and cons of bioenergy so that you can discuss with others in an open-minded way.